Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Composite. I am Deanne Battle. This is our second season and this is episode 8. I may not be on too long. I've got a lot of paperwork and stuff to do, but just wanted to pop on and, talk about things that are going on in my life, talk about things that are going on nationally, internationally. So this talk show, if you've not seen it before, is just, it's a mishmatch, so to speak, or a hodgepodge of just different topics. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is internet censorship or internet limitations. So like I said, this is the second season of this episode, and what I've noticed this season versus last season. Now, the first season of the show, I did 18 episodes on Instagram, never had any issues. But this season, I've had 2 episodes that have either, one episode, it was spotty. It seemed like certain things, that I was talking about, it skipped, or I don't know, maybe it was the internet connection. And then I had one whole episode, unfortunately, that it just didn't save. And a couple of days ago, I did a quick live from my car, and I was just talking about, hey, I'm going to be doing an episode this week. And I talked about, quickly about being in New York because, one thing that I noticed is the difference in the traffic patterns because, my commute, just because the housing prices are so expensive, I'm in my car like about 3 or 4 hours either way. So you have like a lot of time to yourself, a lot of time to look around and think. And what I noticed is that I'm not complaining about it, but I noticed that this week for for all of my trips into the city, traffic was quite a bit lighter. And so I was just kind of musing. I'm like, do people have increased security concerns or something like that? Is that something that's contributing to the change in the traffic patterns? And so I don't remember exactly how I phrased it, but, I noticed that after I had said that, the video started glitching a little bit. And then the video is quote unquote processing, but I haven't been able to download it yet. So it's like, part of it is, again, it might just be, my internet connection on my phone, but I'm just like, I'm noticing like if I'm saying certain things, I don't think that they're controversial, but it seems like, there's a limit. So, that is a little bit more nebulous, but I just wanted to put that out there as a thought. The other thing that I noticed, which I had no idea of, I thought, Instagram is glitching. So let me just, as opposed to doing the video here and then uploading it to YouTube, let me just go directly to YouTube and live stream from YouTube. Do you know I don't have enough of a YouTube presence to actually stream live? Excuse me. Yeah, you have to do 50 short videos before they let you go live. I'm like, really? So it just seems that like, although social media is really promoted as, this connector, free speech, blah, 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 there's still like quite a few limitations. And so I didn't realize that, you have to kind of put in your time over at YouTube before they let you, transfer over to doing lives. So listen, 50 shorts, I guess I can put in for those. But it's just like, womp. Okay. Just another thing to do. And I already feel like I'm, don't have as much time as I would like to spend doing this. So it's just like interesting that, you'd still have to put in more time right before you qualify, to be seen as worthy of doing lives. I wonder what the reasoning is behind that. I mean, maybe they just want to see, are you committed to it? Before we give you access. But again, that just seems weird. I'm just setting up something here. I've got my computer going because I do want to look at a few articles. Alrighty. What do we have here? Okay. Aha. There we go. Okay, so everything's set up. All right. Now, other than that, okay, other things that I would like to discuss with folks. Some of it's serious, some of it's a little fun. Stuff is so heavy right now. So I've been vicariously enjoying internet beef. So if you are familiar with the podcaster DJ Academics, he's been going back and forth with the rapper Saucy Santana, and it's silly, but I'm here for it because I feel like DJ Academics spends so much time attacking Black women, and then, Saucy Santana wants to smoke. So he's just like, pull up, let's fight. And, so I guess DJ Academics has been taken aback just because Saucy Santana is a gay man, and, he wears high heels, he wears, his nails are immaculate, his makeup is immaculate. And he's just like, I can't say anything to him because I'm going to get canceled. I can't, fight him because then it's going to be seen as homophobia, blah, blah, blah. And, would that happen? I think that there are people who would think that, but I think it's partially an excuse to not have to, an excuse a way to be able to continue to throw rocks and hide your hands, which is something that I think he's super guilty of. And so, he did a video, and, again, if you know about this is not new information to you, but he posted a video where he was crying, and so I had it playing on my phone in my car, and I just was cracking up because it's just, dude, why are you so stressed? Why are you so pressed? Why are you crying? It's just, everybody's talking shit. It's just internet beef. You really need to calm down. But yeah, he's taking it super personally. So I just find it interesting that somebody who's, again, so super critical of Black women, now that somebody's called him on his shit, he's upset. So yeah, if you're looking for something silly, there are a lot of internet personalities, influencers fighting right now. I think it's partially, you get clicks, I'm watching it. But I just wonder, what's in the water with that, and why that's happening. Other things. So, I want to talk about some election stuff, right? So I voted on Tuesday, locally. And it was just surprising to me. I was telling a friend of mine about this. I was really surprised about how many candidates were running unopposed. So for instance, where I live, the district attorney, he ran unopposed. I voted for him. There were no other options, but that's a really powerful position. So the way I posed it to my friend is, so if you're really shrewd, if you're someone who has, national political aspirations, then, okay, I can run, for the county, district attorney, run unopposed, right? Do that for a while. Excuse me. Make a name for myself, right? And then move on to the next level, whatever level after that, right? And then run for Senate. Then I could be president, right, in 10 years or something like that. Now, I'm making it seem simpler than it is, obviously, but, again, it does position you very well, I think, for future political aspirations. So with that being said, I was just surprised that, it was unopposed. So what she was telling me was because the positions don't really pay that well. Most people, locally, like, don't want to be bothered. So, which, I mean, I get that too, but it's just like, damn, we have a lot of talk in this country about how important and precious our democracy is. But, I mean, I feel like if that was the case, it would be a little, people would be a little more invested at the local level, and doesn't really seem that's the case. I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm struggling, y'all. I'm just really, really tired. Last night's drive almost took me out, right? Because I was sitting right at the threshold of the New Jersey Turnpike between New York and New Jersey. I was there for almost an hour. It was like a nightmare last night. And then I didn't get home until like a little before 8:00, and I mean, I left work at a decent hour, but yeah, it was a solid 4 hours and change. So I'm just kind of like, I'm still knocked out from that. I find that I spend the weekend recovering, and I've looked at apartments and stuff like that, but it's just hard to wrap my mind around the lack of options. I mean, even roommate options, frankly, most of them are more expensive than what I can afford right now. So let me wrap up with, some election stuff. And then I want to tie into, expenses, inflation, all that good stuff that we need to talk about. All right. So, yeah, I was just surprised, right, that, so many people locally ran unopposed for, in my opinion, powerful positions. Now, I did a mail-in ballot, but I didn't mail it in, so I had to drop it at the ballot box. So I can't tell you how many people were at my local polling station because, I didn't go. I just, this is my second time having the option in Pennsylvania here to do the local mail-in ballots, and I like it, honestly. It just takes the pressure off to know that I won't have to wait in a long line. And then, frankly, I was a bit concerned earlier in the year, or when was the last time that I did a local vote? I think it was earlier this year, or maybe it was last year. I don't know. The time is really, really flying for me in the last year and a half. But, the first time that I voted in this area might have been like last year. But, I did go to, the polling place and stuff like that. But I was a little nervous because, the way things have been, going now, just in terms of, okay, a lot of, election deniers or people who, how do I phrase this? People who are not truly democratically minded, right? They only believe in democracy when it comes to their candidates. I was concerned, some of those types might, be in the mix. But my polling station, it's a local synagogue, and they ran a really tight ship. And it was fine and it was quiet. So, I was able to relax a little bit. But, when they sent the thing to my house saying that I could do mail-ins, I was like, yeah, that would be, cool. Because then I don't have to worry about, did I leave work in time or, something of that nature. Now, in New York City, they did, schools and stuff like that, because I'm a teacher, if you don't know. They do get off for Election Day, but I still had to work. So, I was like, I'm glad that I have, this mail-in as an option that I can drop off at the ballot box. So that way I don't have to worry about making it back in time. So I'm glad that I participated. But I have to say, So the very first election that I voted in, and my apologies if I've told the story before, I don't think so. I voted was in college. And it was, Bush v. Gore. And so I just feel as if, not at the local level, but at the national level, that I've always been picking from, in my opinion, unappealing options. I wasn't a fan of Al Gore, but, I definitely wanted him, in the White House as opposed to George Bush. And you see how that turned out. And then I voted for John Kerry. And it just, I just feel like, okay, I'm always going to, at the federal level, going to the ballot box for candidates that really don't align with my political beliefs. I believe in, universal health care. I think we should have universal daycare. I don't think college necessarily needs to be free, but I think there should be more subsidies or a sliding scale of some sort. Sorry, I am like wild and woolly today. Yeah, it's wash day has come and gone, so I need to get on it and get it together. I am taking different vitamins now, and I feel like that's helping. It feels like the hair situation is a little more robust. We'll see what happens with the nails. I'll keep you updated. But I feel like again, the elections, not really appealing options. And so that leads me to the next topic, which is the options that we'll have available for 2024, right? Because, that's already a shit show. The Republicans, they did their debate, and I didn't watch it purposefully. I don't really think any of those candidates are going to have anything, that appeals to someone who believes in, universal daycare, universal health care, who believes in, more subsidies for education, investing more in education. I don't think we take care of children. I don't think we take care of elders. What are the elements of American society at this point that are actually communal? That actually promote community. I don't really think that's happening. And I don't hear anybody speaking in a policy driven way toward any of those things that I care about. And so, the Republican candidates are obviously not going to have anything toward that. And, Biden has talked about that. Okay. But he hasn't done anything in any of those regards to contribute toward that. It's always like kind of less than the bare minimum, if we're honest. So the fact that, we can, negotiate on drug prices, I believe the list is, there's a list of 10 drugs, right? So all of the medicines that Americans have to take, right? Because we're not a healthy nation, if we're going to be honest. Okay, so now you can negotiate 10 drugs. So the government is open to negotiating the price on 10 drugs. Like, yay. And the new thing, all right, so this is where I'm going to bring the article in. Okay, so Joe Manchin, right, is not running for re-election in the Senate, okay? And so this guy's basically been the shadow president anyway, right? Because he's been able to use his vote to really, push the Biden administration, Joe Biden in particular, obviously, to, really give him, concessions. I won't get into the weeds on that. I think I've mentioned, some of the back and forth between these two in previous episodes. But he'll probably run for president as a third party candidate, which, okay, well, I don't, who likes him? Honestly, I think he, if anything, would give independent leaning Republicans / conservatives, he might give them an option, but I don't foresee, too many people, right, who align with things that I believe. I don't see them flocking, to Joe Manchin. I know, there's RFK as a third party option, and Cornel West as a third party option, Marianne Williamson as a third party option. But, I am not sure how realistic any of those candidacies are, or potential candidacies. I'm not sure how realistic those are. And David Axelrod actually, came out and said he doesn't think it's a good idea for Joe Biden to run for re-election. But I'm not sure who they would put up. Probably Gavin Newsom, who's, but I guess I could hold my nose and vote for him. He's better than an option than Biden, I guess. Honestly, at this point, and I have another friend from New Jersey. We joke about this a lot. I'm like, what the fuck happened to Cuomo? And I know that's that is a problematic thing to say because, he had the sexual harassment scandal. And so I guess the Democrats decided to put him out to pasture. But I think one of the things that we were able to witness, during the pandemic shutdown, he honestly was one of the very few strong Democrats, who he screwed up. For me, worse than the sexual harassment scandals was the what he did with the nursing homes in New York City in terms of not keeping elders safe. But that's the thing, right? There's not a politician who doesn't have, in my opinion, at least one egregious, thing on their track record. But what I would give my respect to Cuomo for, as, a New Yorker, I definitely got issues with him. But the level of strength in his decision making for the people of New York, and I wonder if somebody like that could bring that to the national level. Even like Amy Klobuchar, again, a Democrat that's way more conservative than my personal beliefs, but someone that I at least respect at a certain level for strength of purpose and clarity of messaging. I think it's pretty clear that these Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg obviously still has aspirations to the White House. I would not support that. He is a hot mess. Again, weak messaging, right? And just no authority. I don't think Vice President Harris has really distinguished herself, to be frank, in the vice president role. If she were to run, I'd consider her platform, but I don't think she's a good option either. So this is just really bad. What does it mean, right, that the quote unquote the most powerful nation on the planet has a complete vacuum at the top level in terms of political clout here? I wonder if it's purposeful. It somewhat feels like it, right? Because the other political article that I wanted you to take a look at here is, okay, so we'll read through part of this together. So, let me back up a bit. Oh gosh. All right, you can see the boxes in my apartment in the background. So because I need to move closer to work, when I finally got all of my shit out of storage, I still haven't unpacked, right? Because it's like if I unpack, or maybe check this out, maybe I should unpack, and maybe an apartment in New York or a roommate situation in New York will magically appear if I unpack, right? So maybe I should unpack, but let me go like this so it's a little less obtrusive, okay? But okay, let's read through this together. Okay, I keep saying that. House Republicans struggle with government funding as shutdown looms. Okay, and that's the new speaker, Kevin McCarthy 2.0, whatever. Newly minted Speaker Mike Johnson is running smack dab into the same spending problems that plagued his predecessor, like I said, Kevin McCarthy 2.0, raising the prospects of a government shutdown if Congress doesn't act between now and next Friday, and further exposing divisions within the conference. House Republican leaders were forced to abruptly pull 2-year-long spending bills from the floor this week amid opposition from both ends of their badly divided GOP conference. And Johnson is still grappling with a strategy to keep the government's lights on without sparking a right-wing rebellion, with the current funding patch set up to expire in 8 days at an all too familiar dynamic for Republican leadership, so on and so forth. All right. Other things here. So listen, right? Notice how it took a long time, right, to get another speaker, and that now we've got this issue with the shutdown again. It seems like there are deliberate attempts, again, to keep the power vacuum federally. And what does that allow them to do? I think that then allows the executive function to take precedent, right? Because the House is a mess. Congress can't get its shit together. And then, right, we've got troops overseas, right, in certain places that I don't think that they should be, especially if you're not going to let the American people have a say. And so, yeah, it feels very deliberate to me, right, that we don't have, again, strength of purpose and clarity of messaging. All of this gray area really allows, the current administration to, in my opinion, operate outside the bounds of their purview. If I'm trying to articulate this in a way I think that would make sense. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about in terms of politics here. Now, I had mentioned, right, inflation, things like that or whatever. If anybody watching this, if you've got like any ideas on a side hustle, like that would be great. My friend was like, oh, why don't you tutor? But, I teach and I work with students, I think pretty closely. I actually have 6 separate meetings with students on Zoom tomorrow to, help them work on their midterm papers. So I really try to give students individual time, like, when they're open to it, since I work with adults, right? You can't just be like, oh, force them to come to office hours. And I'm working. I should be working on a book. I haven't really had a chance to write. I'm not going to have any time to write until tomorrow afternoon, because by then I will have, gotten through my grading and done, the other paperwork and stuff that I need to get done. But I want to have like a side gig that's like something different, right? That engages me differently and doesn't like drain that, academic, literary part of me, if that makes sense. And so I was thinking, maybe bartending or waitressing, because I could get cash, right? And I wouldn't necessarily have to worry about taxes on it and things like that. But I was a server. I flipped burgers for a little while in high school, but I was a server freshman year of college. I was really bad at it. People's food was did I get the orders wrong? The first week I definitely got orders wrong. I got better at that part of it, but just how you time out, like you have to be very precise about when you're bringing out appetizers versus when you're bringing out the main course and stuff like that. And it was just a little too much for me. I have ADHD and the distractions were just off the hook. I wasn't diagnosed though until I was like 37, but it's just, I would be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Take 3 orders, put them in the kitchen. It's like, okay, yeah. And then, go over here, clear this table, that table. And then I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot about their orders. And then go back and bring it. And then it was cold and just like, yeah. So being, a waitress, for a Saturday shift or something like that, I think that's most likely off the table, unless I was like a waitress at some place like super low stakes. What is that called? Low stakes sort of eating establishment. It would have to be somewhere where they had like a chill patronage, had chill patrons that would be willing to like work with me as I figured it out. But I feel like if I were to get a side gig for, 6 months, like, that would help me get caught up financially. My car is paid for now, so that's off the table. So I just need a little bit more help right sizing the expenses that I incurred from moving back east about a year and a half ago. Still kind of digging out of that hole. Getting closer-ish, but not fully. So yeah, anybody, the news, side gigs, remote work. There's this Instagram account called Recession Proof or something like that. But honestly, all the shit that I look into from their posts, sorry, just a second. Zena, stop it, doggy. I was teaching on Zoom earlier today and she just got, activated. And she was just like all over the place. And now she's literally breathing her hot breath on me while I'm trying to film here. And I'm giving her plenty of attention. But something about when I turn on Zoom or when I turn on the screen, she's got to, be activated. So what was I saying? See, now the dog is distracting me. But the Recession Proof Instagram account, I've looked at it and I've looked into stuff that they post, and everything honestly looks like a scam that they're posting. So I think I'm going to unfollow them because I'm like, I need to be better with my finances or whatever. And then it just showed up in my algorithm and I've been following it. And I'm like, everything they post, there's like either not a link or you go to the link and it just doesn't seem legit, right? So yeah, they post a lot of remote work, but any of the remote work they've posted that I've looked into, it's just been like, dude, what the hell is this? It just hasn't been that reputable. So yeah, side hustle. Side hustle is the new main gig in 2023. Because it's just, shit is just maximally expensive. I don't buy coffee anymore. I just, what I do is I take 15 minutes in the morning, and everything that I need, I make up here. Like, I'll have, if I want a quick breakfast, I'll have a protein shake. And then, my coffee or my tea, I make it up here. I'm just like, I ain't got it. Student loans have gone back, into repayment. And I'm like, trying to negotiate on that. So it's just, I have to be very, very, conscientious, in terms of how far my dollar goes. So, not to say that other people don't, but yeah, I hadn't thought that at this age that my budget would be this tight. But, there are a lot of things, right, that about adulting that are hard and that are very much, the lived reality is much different than I thought. And so other things that I want to discuss. So here's the thing. I started watching Yellowstone. What the entire hell, and I've been kind of like, last weekend I was kind of half watching it because, like I said, I just have a lot of stuff that I need to do. So I'm like, I have to, have multiple irons in the fire. But I was just like, I don't like any of the characters, but it's like a really good show. So this is the first time that I've experienced that. I'm like, I don't like any of these people, right? Because Kevin Costner as the patriarch, of the family, he is ruthless. He's can be cold and cynical with his children, but at the same point, he's someone who he's lost a lot, right? And so he carries that pain very distinctly. And so I'm like, okay, well, he's a terrible person, but I kind of feel bad for him, and I don't want to give the plot away if anybody plans on watching it, but he's lost a lot, right? And he's kind of at that pinnacle, right, of the show is really trying to depict, right, what does it mean to be at the last, threshold of white settlerism, because they've got this massive ranch that they're trying to hold on to, and there are all these forces trying to take it away from them. And so in one way it replicates aspects of what happened to the indigenous people, right? Like, what is it when you have this beautiful, precious land and these people are kind of trying to come in and ransack it and take it from you, right? So a lot of the language that he and his children use it's ironic, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, well, this is what your ancestors did, 100, 200 years ago to the people that, were indigenous to this place. And so now you're experiencing that, but, again, experiencing that, kind of at the waning edge of white supremacy. I mean, if we're honest. And so it's a fascinating character study, but again, all the characters are terrible. Like, in my main issue is with the daughter's depiction. So, she's the only girl, right? Her mother passes away. So that's not, giving the show away, because you know that from the beginning. Her mother passes away. So she's got 3 brothers, a father, and a bunch of cowboys, right? So she's the only woman, and she's so hard, right? Like, she's so, it's just relentless, like her lack of mercy for anyone or anything. And it doesn't feel realistic, and it's not that she needs to be warm and fuzzy, but she doesn't, her femininity is just about manipulation and power. It's never to nurture. It's never to provide grace or comfort at all. Like, she doesn't know how to do that. And so much to the point that she eclipses the male characters in terms of her masculinity. And that, that doesn't seem so, since last weekend here in, I've like, cause I just had it on. And so I'm in the second season. I don't know how sustainable that is. I know they have 5 seasons of the show. I don't know how sustainable that is for a character. So we shall see. As I'll have, especially around the holidays, I'll have an opportunity to catch up. But it's just, she's brutal. She's brutal. And then, the second eldest brother, he's just sniveling and manipulative and untrustworthy. The youngest brother is a hothead and he's just always getting into trouble. His wife is a total hypocrite, right? She's the only indigenous main character. There are a couple of other, indigenous, like minor characters, but she's the only main character who's indigenous. And, she's an academic and she's really into, right, holding, white people accountable for, taking their land and, their culture and things like that. But then it's like she marries into this family that is the exact epitome of that. You know what she is? She is the indigenous equivalent of Meghan Markle. That's what she's giving with her energy. So I find her super problematic as well. So it's just a show full of like unlikable people. And I'm like, why am I watching this shit? But the storyline is fascinating. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely, give it a watch. Maybe, come on here, let me know what you think. But yeah, Yellowstone, that's some powerful television. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what else they do with it. All right. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about for comedy's sake here is, hold on. Let's talk about this situation, right? So this isn't the cover, so to speak, but this is 2023's Sexiest Man Alive. It is Patrick Dempsey. What the entire hell? Okay, so this is no shade against Patrick Dempsey. I don't have an issue with him, but what does that title even mean anymore? Because I feel like in the past, when I was younger and they would say, oh, so-and-so is this year's Sexiest Man Alive, that it was a combination of the guy's looks, but also cultural relevancy. And if I'm being generous, it's been about 15 years since Patrick Dempsey has been relevant. Okay. I mean, even if I pull it down to 10 or 12 years, like, that's a hell of a long time, right? So hold on, let me check this article out. Like, does he have a movie coming out? Or, I mean, does his agent know somebody at People Magazine? Like, what is going on? I just think it's emblematic of this year, right? So just as, we just have random people in power who really don't have that much relevancy, right? Now we're being told random people that don't have much relevancy are the epitome of sex appeal. Man, boy, bye. Like, I'm just trying to look for a sign as to like why this happened. Maybe he's going to be on a new show or something. I don't know. They just need to make this make sense, because now, like, okay, so you Patrick Dempsey. So I was just joking, on a short post that I did that, like, okay, so who's next year's sexiest man alive? Is it going to be, David Hasselhoff, or I don't know, Morgan Freeman? Like, where are we going with this? And it's not really about the age per se. It's more about, like, again, this person, it's just how are they relevant, right? Because what is sex appeal? Like, when we say someone is sexy, what do we mean by that? I think it's, again, just the physical aspect of the person, but it's also like your confidence, your comfort in your own skin. And like, how often have we seen you, because it's just like, to me, it's never like, at least when it comes to celebrities, it's never like, oh, I see him one time and, oh my God, he's so sexy. No, it's more like, oh, you get accustomed to the ways the person has about them, over a period of time. And I haven't seen Patrick Dempsey around enough to be accustomed to anything about him. I've never watched Grey's Anatomy, by the way. I think I've seen maybe one episode or a half of one episode. So that was never a thing for me. Patrick Dempsey, I mean, anything that I know him from, frankly, is really mostly from the 80s and 90s. So he's especially not relevant to me. Okay. So like, yeah, who else could they have as the sexiest man alive, like, for next year? Michael Caine. Let me think of a younger person so it doesn't seem like I'm engaging in age discrimination, because I'm really not. Like, for instance, Ryan Gosling is somebody who I feel they try to push as sexy, but for me, he's like a blank slate. He gives nothing. There's nothing distinctive about him at all. I feel like that about Robert Pattinson too. Like, what's going on? Is anyone home upstairs? Like, I'm a very strong proponent of, like, what's going on in a person's eyes. So anybody that has dead eyes or blank eyes, to me, it just freaks me out, because because that's the window to your soul. It's just like, are you soulless, or are you hiding your soul? And if you're hiding your soul, does that mean that you're evil? Right? So I jump to all of these conclusions. I am a writer, folks. Okay, so that is what I will leave you with, right? This has been season 2, episode 8 of the Composite. You all have a great weekend. I might come back on tomorrow, especially if something wacky happens in the news cycle. I might want to talk about it. But thank you for anybody that checks out the replay on this. All right. God bless.